Free audio post-production by alphonic.com.
Today we're tuning into those quiet signals our bodies send us. You know, the subtle aches, maybe some stiffness, or just that feeling that your posture is a bit off.
Yeah, they're really easy to ignore, aren't they? Until suddenly they're not subtle anymore. They become this chronic thing that shapes how you move, how you feel. And today, we're digging into one major reason why. Lower cross syndrome, or LCS. We're calling it the silent culprit of modern discomfort. If you sit a lot or your hips always feel tight, well, this one's definitely for you.
Absolutely. And we're drawing on some fantastic insights today from Alexandra Cash. She's a certified personal trainer and behavior change specialist, and her work really zeroes in on posture, longevity, and just overall vitality.
Okay, so let's unpack this. Here's our mission today. First, really understand what LCS is structurally, what's going wrong.
Right.
Second, how does this imbalance actually change how you look and how you function day to day?
And third, maybe most importantly, we're going to lay out the exact 4-step sequence you need to follow to get things back in balance.
Yeah.
So let's start right at the beginning. This crossed idea sounds like an X,
Yeah.
right? What does that actually look like in the body?
Yeah, that X pattern is a great way to think about it. LCS is basically this postural imbalance. It creeps up on you over time, usually because of, too much sitting, sedentary habits generally, and maybe just ingrained poor movement patterns. It's sneaky because it doesn't just happen overnight.
Right.
The crossed part refers to two pairs of muscles that get out of sync. You've got one diagonal line of muscles becoming tight and overactive.
Okay, pulling too hard.
Exactly, pulling too hard. And then another diagonal line of muscles becoming weak and underactive. They kind of give up.
So who are the culprits? Which muscles are getting too tight in this tug of war?
The main overactive ones, the tight ones, are your hip flexors. Think psoas, that big muscle deep inside that gets short when you sit, and also the erectus femoris, part of your quad. And on the backside, it's your lumbar extensors, the erector spinae muscles running along your lower spine. Think of them as being constantly switched on, like tight little rubber bands.
Okay, so if those front hip muscles and low back muscles are pulling tight, what's happening on the other side of that X? What's getting weak?
That's where the important muscles start to, fall asleep on the job. The underactive, weak ones, are your deep core muscles, especially the transverse abdominis, the internal corset, and crucially, your glutes. Your glute maximus, your glute medius. The big power muscles just aren't firing properly. They become inhibited.
So tight hip flexors in the front, tight lower back muscles, and then weak abs and weak glutes. That creates a pretty specific look, doesn't it?
It does. It leads directly to what we call an anterior pelvic tilt. The top of your pelvis tips forward. That's the classic sign of LCS. And it forces that exaggerated curve into your lower back, the lordosis. What's really interesting, or maybe concerning, is how slowly this happens. It often starts creeping in during your 20s or 30s.
Wow, that early.
Yeah. And if you don't address it, the effects just compound over the years. They snowball. So being proactive about fixing this is, it's key for staying mobile and comfortable long term. This isn't just about today, it's about your future quality of life.
That structural shift.
Yeah.
And it has huge ripple effects, right? Let's talk about the real world impact, because it's not just about feeling discomfort. It actually changes how you look, sometimes in ways that really throw people off.
Definitely. It's quite deceptive.
Let's talk aesthetics first. That exaggerated lower back curve and the tipped forward pelvis. It can really create the illusion of protruding belly, can it? Even if someone's quite lean.
Exactly. It's not always extra fat there. It's the posture, literally pushing everything forward. It's like a postural pot belly almost.
Yeah. And then what happens to the glutes?
Well, because the glutes are weak and often kind of stretched out from that pelvic tilt, they can start to look flat or undefined, like they've lost their shape.
So you get the belly sticking out and the glutes looking flat.
Yes.
Not exactly the look most people are going for.
No. And over time, these visual changes can subtly chip away at your confidence, making you feel less strong or put together than you actually are.
And beyond how it looks, this imbalance just wrecks your body's function. If you're relying on tight muscles that should be relaxed and weak muscles that should be strong, everything becomes inefficient, right? Strained.
Completely. Even just basic things like standing for a while, walking, bending down to pick something up, they become more effortful. Your body isn't using the right muscles in the right sequence, so it has to compensate.
And if you're active, if you work out, this is where it really bites you.
Oh, absolutely.
Trying to do deep squat. Forget it if your hip flexors are like tight ropes. They'll block your depth.
Yeah.
Trying to lift heavy, your weak glutes won't provide the power.
So your lower back takes over. or your hamstrings work overtime, which just reinforces the whole dysfunctional pattern. It's a vicious cycle.
Right.
And that leads us straight into the really serious risk: chronic pain and potential injury.
Yeah.
If you let LCS just run its course, you're really setting yourself up for persistent lower back pain. But it doesn't always stop there. It can radiate into hip pain, knee issues, even up the chain.
Because everything's connected.
Everything's connected. It increases your risk of injury because movement mechanics are off. It accelerates wear and tear on your joints. Honestly, unchecked, it can significantly limit your mobility and just reduce your quality of life as you get older. It sounds kind of grim, but it's the reality for many people.
Okay, it does sound a bit grim, but the good news, based on Alexandra Cash's work, is that there's a clear path out. It's not like you're doomed to this. There's a specific fix.
Yes, absolutely. And the key thing she emphasizes is that the fix requires structure. It needs precision. You have to follow a specific sequence. Each step builds on the last.
Right. You can't just jump to the end.
Oh, you really can't. So step 1 is inhibit. The goal here is to release, to calm down those overactive tight muscles we talked about, the hip flexors and the lumbar extensors.
This is where things like foam rolling come in.
Exactly. Self-myofascial release. Think foam rollers, lacrosse balls. The example given is a hip flexor roll, maybe adding some knee flexion while you're on the roller. The point isn't aggressive stretching yet. It's about applying sustained pressure to send a signal to the nervous system.
Ah, okay. So you're telling the muscles control system, hey, ease up, you can relax a bit.
Precisely. You're temporarily dialing down that overactive signal. Only after you've done that can you effectively move to step 2, lengthen.
Lengthen. So now we actually stretch.
Now we stretch. Once the muscle is neurologically quieter, we work on restoring its optimal physical length. This is where you do your static stretches.
Like the half-kneeling quad pull example, where you're down on one knee and gently pull your back foot towards your glute.
Perfect example. You hold that stretch, feeling it in the front of the hip and thigh. This helps the muscle actually lengthen, giving the pelvis room to return to a more neutral position.
Okay, this makes sense. Inhibit first, then lengthen. Now, here's where I think a lot of people go wrong. They try to jump straight to strengthening, right, but that's step 3, activate.
Exactly. And this is maybe the most crucial part of the sequence. Only after you've quieted the tight guys and lengthened them can you effectively wake up the weak guys.
So activate's about firing up those dormant muscles.
Yes. Targeting the underactive ones, the glutes and the deep abdominals, and teaching them how to turn on again, how to work properly, often in isolation at first.
Like the example given,
Yeah.
the elevated single leg hip thrust. That sounds tough.
It is tough. You put your upper back on a bench, one foot on the floor, lift the other leg, and drive your hips up using just the glute of the planted leg. It really isolates the glute max.
Forces it to work without the lower back or hamstrings cheating.
Exactly. You have to really feel that glute contracting powerfully.
Yeah.
That's activation.
Okay. Inhibit, lengthen, activate.
Yeah.
What's the final step?
The final step is integrate. Now you take that newfound balance, the released tightness, the restored length, the activated weak muscles, and you put it all together.
Make it stick in real movement.
Right. Reinforce the pattern in functional, full body movements that mimic everyday life or exercise. It's about teaching the body to use this new balance strategy automatically.
So the example here is a controlled body weight squat. Not just banging out reps, but really focusing.
Yes. Focusing on maintaining that neutral pelvis throughout the squat, keeping the core engaged, making sure the glutes are firing as you stand up. Perfect intentional form. You're integrating the corrected patterns.
And you really have to stick to that order, don't you? Inhibit, lengthen, activate, integrate.
You absolutely do. We have to stress this. Skipping steps or doing them out of order just won't work long term. If you try to activate your glutes while your hip flexors are still super tight, the hip flexors will just pull you back into the old pattern.
The body takes the path of least resistance.
Always. The sequence breaks that cycle. It ensures the changes actually stick and become your new normal. It's the key to lasting structural improvement.
Okay, so wrapping this up, what's the big takeaway here? Lower cross syndrome might be incredibly common, especially now, but it doesn't have to be your story.
Not at all.
As Alexandra Cash's work shows, by committing to this specific 4-step process, inhibit, lengthen, activate, integrate, you're not just fixing an imbalance. It feels more like you're investing in a future where you can move better, feel stronger, and live with less pain.
Yeah, that's a great way to put it. True health, as she suggests, isn't about quick fixes or just pushing through discomfort. It's really about understanding your body as this interconnected system and then making those small, consistent, sequential changes that actually create lasting results. Realizing how much this imbalance can affect your energy, your posture, even your confidence. That's the first step to reclaiming control.
Absolutely. So here's something to think about. If this specific structure, inhibit, lengthen, activate, integrate, can bring your physical body back into balance. Think about other areas. Maybe your performance in the gym, your heaviest lifts, even just standing tall without that nagging ache. Is the limitation truly just weakness? Or is it maybe resistance from something tight that just needs to be inhibited first?
That's a powerful thought. Where else could applying a structured sequence like this make a difference? Maybe just starting with that intentional movement, even just 15 minutes a day, focused on the right steps in the right order.
Something to consider. We'll see you next.
Free audio post-production by alphonic.com.